so now let's move on a little bit. There's been multiple other shootings at schools and things like that that have also ramped up the rhetoric. Charlie Kirk isn't his death wasn't in a vacuum. There's just shootings all the time, and not to mention all the stuff that's been going on in overseas between Ukraine and also Gaza. But the point is, and we might end on this. There was this order that Trump signed. Let me try to find it here.
What did he
NSPM-7.
sign now?
NSPM-7 that is not an executive order. So essentially, he signed an order that gives it free reign for government alphabet agencies to just go start surveilling people who are of certain categories. So, heinous assassinations and other acts of political violence in the United States have dramatically increased in recent years, even in the aftermath of the horrifying. And it's just crazy that this is in like an actual government legal document. They're mentioning Charlie Kirk. But anyway,
I'm surprised I
um,
didn't say the most horrifying event in the history of our country.
right? Some individuals who adhered to the alleged shooter's ideology, which is not true. The shooter, once again, Tyler Robinson, was apolitical, just a meme lord, edge lord gamer on the internet. That's literally all the guy was. A disgusting person, I'll still say. I don't agree with going around and just shooting people. Even though I really didn't like Charlie Kirk, I don't really want the guy shot or whatever. But I'm also not going to be sorry that the guy's dead. But that being said, so this is preceded by the 2024 assassination of a senior healthcare executive. Little Luigi action going on there. And
Yeah,
the
Luigi
20
Mangione.
the
Yeah.
2022 assassination attempts against Brett Kavanaugh. Two separate assassination attempts against my own life, President Trump, in less than 3 months took place during the 2024 presidential election cycle. I think all of those cases
Wink,
were like
wink.
right wing people, but anyway,
What
we're
about
just
the
trying to keep the
Democratic
narrative right
people
here.
that got shot and killed? What about
Yeah.
them?
Riots in Los Angeles and Portland reflect more than 1,000% increase. That's funny.
One
You didn't show,
thousand
yeah,
percent.
show the actual numbers, dipshit. Like, give it,
Seriously, 1,000%. So you're basically saying
yeah.
that basically the whole country is rioting? That's kind of what that sounds like to me when you're
Well,
saying when you're using that number.
I mean,
That's a fucking large amount of people
a
rioting.
1,000% increase could be like literally going from a fraction to like five. You know what I mean? Like, show the actual numbers. Don't give us a weird ass percent or whatever. But anyway, attacks on U.S. or ICE, which, you know what? That's just illegal as hell anyway. I still don't think
Oh
people should be
shit, they're doing
attacking
is
them.
freaking illegal, and not to mention
They are attacking people, so that to me is
and they're
self
blowing and they're
defense.
wasting money on that because they're also saying like, oh yeah, well Trump's gonna lower the deficit and quit wasteful spending. Literally Christy Nome, who was the head of this whole thing, is literally been shown to go way over budget for
Right.
the fiscal year. What the fuck do you mean that this is saving money?
Yeah.
That's doing the literal opposite.
So let's go down a little bit here. Let me find it. Here we go. There are common recurrent motivations and indicia. I've never even seen that word before. Uniting this pattern of violent and terroristic activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. These movements, which know that is not the case. Most of these people are either, in the case of Tyler Robinson, they're apolitical. Most of these people are right-wing nut jobs. They're literally people, registered Republicans. It's not this like kind of leftist type of situation like like they tried to paint the Black Panthers in the
Hmm.
late 60s and early 70s. But anyway, This anti-fascist lie has become the organizing rally cry used by domestic terrorists to wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. Common threads, and here's the meat and potatoes here. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, which that's essentially right wing right there. That's all you do is talk about migration, race, and gender, dude. Like that's like 90% of the things you talk about. So I'm sorry, you're extreme in that case, buddy. And
No kidding.
hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality, which are just so broad. it's
So in
it's
other words, you
absurd.
just don't like people that challenge your beliefs. Just like I said
Yeah.
before, there's people challenging your beliefs. Not everybody's conforming to the nuclear traditional family values, and you don't like it.
Yeah. As described in the order of September 22nd, 2025, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. And I just got to stop this here. There is no such thing in the United States of like an organization that you go pay dues and you get a t-shirt and a sticker that's Antifa, bro. Like,
And get a license plate frame.
yeah. And the thing is there's this guy. His name's Norm Finkelstein. He talks a lot on Gaza, but he talks about a lot of things and has for quite a long time. I'm not a scholar on the guy's work, but he had a major comments that was like many years ago. He said something to the effect that fascism could never come to the United States because there's not a leftism to cause the fascism to rise up, because as you saw earlier in the little video from Rathbone, make sure you subscribe to that guy's channel. Anyway, he is mentioning that fascism rises as leftism, socialists and communists come out of the woodwork to say, look, we're sick of these capitalists essentially taking advantage of everybody and essentially just getting the high life, living on yachts and going over and molesting kids and stuff. So, which is essentially what's happening. The reason I mentioned that is
Mhm.
because that's literally what's happening. Is
Yep.
they have so much money and power, they literally don't care that pretty much everybody knows that they've been molesting kids. Like pretty much everybody knows that they are funding a genocide willingly, and they don't care about funding that genocide. In fact, if you go over and mention that they're funding a genocide and then that's a bad thing, and you're a college student, they'll deport you if you're an immigrant, and they'll get you kicked out of your college, they'll get you kicked out of your job or whatever. But yet they want to talk about extremism, violence, and cancel culture. But anyway, so getting back to this, the groups and entities that perpetuate this extremism have created a movement that embraces and elevates violence to achieve policy outcomes, including justifying additional assassinations. For example, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin engraved the bullets used in the murder with so-called anti-fascist rhetoric. So anyhow, they are making having the joint or the National Joint Terrorism Task Force and its local offices coordinate and supervise a comprehensive national strategy to investigate, prosecute, and disrupt entities and individuals engaged in acts of political violence and intimidation designed to suppress lawful political activity or obstruct the rule of law. Which, that in and of itself, like this stuff, I don't mind. But when you frame it as these things up here, anti Americanism, anti capitalism, anti Christianity, whatever, when you're saying that right before mentioning this and saying that to investigate, prosecute, disrupt entities and individuals engaged in act of political violence, you're implying that all of those things are a form of political violence or inciting political violence. This right here is literally worse than the Patriot Act, which is just an absolute trailer trash piece of legislation. Um,
Just
this
like
is
anything else
really,
Trump
really bad.
produces.
Now, it's a case that, even if they do the investigation on somebody, they may not be able to actually charge them with anything, right? Because you just said something is protected under free speech or whatever, but they can harass people. They could find other things like, oh, you didn't carry a zero on your taxes or whatever. We're going to put you in jail for tax fraud or fine you for this or get you kicked out of your job or. This right here gives free reign for alphabet organizations to spy on people more than they were already spying on them and harass them, essentially. Harass U.S. citizens domestically. This is bad. And this is all in this ecosystem that we've been talking about here, related to the Charlie Kirk shooting. It's been going on for a while, but like to wrap it up, I mean, we can still have a little bit of discussion, but we're kind of getting to the end here. We spent a little bit over an hour so far, but this right here, the reason that we are mentioning that, like the you know making him a martyr is such a bad deal, is because they're using that as an excuse to attack our freedoms, even further attack our democracy, and it's not going to end well. Like these guys,
Hmm.
literally, the way that they're acting to me, in my opinion, it seems as though they don't think there's gonna be a midterms. They're already convinced that like we can do essentially what we want because either the entire country, the empire is going to fall by then, and they're going to have it under like a police state rule. They're going to be, and this stuff happened in Russia. So I'm just saying, like the same things have happened in Russia recently in the past 20 years, 30 years. So I'm just saying this is not really far fetched. They have it in black and white here that they're essentially trying to go after anybody that is liberal or left of liberal. If you aren't going over and, you know, carefully massaging the dong of capitalism and and caressing it, combing the pubes to the side to make them look nice, then you're a terrorist. That's essentially what they're saying. Better not criticize us because if you get too many ears listening to you and you become an inconvenience, we're going to be an inconvenience and you're probably not going to have a job. We might be able to, at that point, put you in jail. This is where it's at. This is not being hyperbolic. This is literally in black and white on whitehouse.gov.